If Niccolò Machiavelli were alive today, he wouldn't be writing books. He'd be building empires, silently. He wouldn't tweet. He wouldn't post. He'd be the ghost in the algorithm, the shadow behind the curtain. The man pulling strings so quietly you'd call it fate, because in a world addicted to visibility, Machiavelli would conquer through invisibility. And today, I'm not giving you quotes, I'm giving you doctrine. 21 psychological rules for total control, based not on what Machiavelli wrote, but on what he'd do if he walked among us today. Rule 1, let them underestimate you. Men judge more by what they see than what is. So control how they see you, and you control what they do. Machiavelli knew the strongest position is the one no one sees coming. While today's world screams for attention, flaunts credentials, begs to be noticed, he would do the opposite. He'd walk in late, listen before speaking, say the thing no one else dared say, once, and let the silence do the rest. Let them believe you're harmless, let them assume you're small, because once they see no threat, they expose everything. And that's when you strike, from a place they never prepared for. Rule 2, charm is more dangerous than truth. In a society drunk on image, truth doesn't spread, perception does. Machiavelli wouldn't defend his integrity. He'd design an illusion, he'd shake hands with enemies while feeding them misdirection. He'd win loyalty with likability, not honesty. You don't need to be good, you just need to be believed as good. So don't correct the way they see you, exploit it. Let them crown you a hero while you quietly rewrite the ending. Rule 3, create ambiguity on purpose. Most people crave clarity. Machiavelli would weaponize confusion. One day cold, one day warm, silent today. Intense tomorrow, not because he's erratic, because they're confused. Confusion leads to obsession. Obsession sharpens focus. Focus turns into influence. People will analyze you, project onto you, orbit you. Not because you reveal who you are, but because you don't. You become a puzzle, and puzzles become fixations. So stop explaining yourself. Stop clarifying your stance. Let your silence echo louder than their certainty. Speak in riddles, smile at their questions, disarm them with mystery, because curiosity is gravity, and ambiguity is its force. Rule 4, control what they see, hide what you do. In an age where everything is public, Machiavelli would move in the shadows. While others build brands, post wins, show receipts, he'd stay silent. Because once people see how you move, they start building counter moves. They form alliances. They plant traps. They frame your story before you finish writing it. So show them a decoy. Let your public face be a distraction. The real power is in the moves no one sees coming. Rule 5, build a mask, then let it fracture. Machiavelli understood what modern manipulators exploit daily. Perfection is forgettable. Flaws are addictive, so you build a mask, poised, intelligent, calm, confident, but just once. Let it crack. Let them see a flash of something deeper, a sharp word, a haunted glance, a flash of pain wrapped in power. Why? Because people don't obsess over what they understand. They chase what stays just out of reach. Give them 90%, then vanish. Let them spiral over the other 10% for years. A wise ruler wears the mask of virtue, but holds the blade of necessity behind the back. So be the light, then flash the darkness. Let them glimpse the abyss, then close the curtain. You won't be remembered because they loved you. You'll be remembered because they saw something they weren't supposed to. And now they need to know what's behind it. Rule 6, say less than necessary always. Talking too much is a symptom of weakness, a need to validate, a fear of misunderstanding, a dependency on clarity. But the man who speaks little and precisely dominates the room. Machiavelli didn't speak to be understood. He spoke to disturb. His words were blades, not blankets. In conflict, negotiation, tension, he'd drop one sentence, maybe two, then go silent, and it's in that silence where fear begins, because they'll project, they'll panic, they'll overthink. What does he know? Why isn't he reacting? What's he planning next? You've said nothing. But in their minds, you've already declared war. Powerful men don't satisfy. They don't clarify. They control the tempo of thought. Then stop. Let them lean in. Let them guess. Let them sweat. Mystery isn't made of words. It's forged in the space between them. Rule 7. Blur the line between threat and ally. Today, people are obsessed with clarity. Who's with me? Who's against me? Machiavelli would never give them that luxury. He'd praise a rival in public, break bread with an enemy, defend those he plans to replace. Why? Because when you look like a threat, people build walls, but when you look like a friend, they leave the gate wide open. The lion cannot avoid traps. The fox cannot scare wolves. You must be both. Complement them, then outmaneuver. Agree with them, then replace. Sit quietly until your absence becomes the blade. Be warm, be supportive. Be neutral, then remove them before they even realize you were a threat. Modern translation: say less, smile more, appear neutral, then strike from the shadows. Rule 8. Make them feel safe. Fright before you take power. The easiest way to remove someone, not through war, through comfort. Let them believe you admire them, that you follow their lead. Let them think they're mentoring you. Then, while they relax, you move. Machiavelli would echo their beliefs. He'd mirror their words. He'd praise their thinking while outgrowing it in silence. He'd make them feel seen, heard, respected, until he no longer needed them, and by the time they realized the betrayal, he'd already be in their seat. Men are so simple and so eager to satisfy immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims. So tell them what they want. Show them what they love. Take what they never thought you'd touch. All while smiling. Rule 9. Create dependency, then disappear. Machiavelli wouldn't dominate through threats. He'd dominate through gifts, but not the kind you notice, the kind that slowly rewire your routines. He'd offer help, connection, strategy, until you're reliant on it, until you think his presence is essential to your success. Then, he'd vanish, and when he did, you'd feel it like withdrawal, confusion, weakness, scrambling for the structure he quietly provided. That's the kind of power you don't have to hold. You become it. Rule 10. Become a necessary illusion, then disappear. He wouldn't demand loyalty. He'd design it, quietly. He'd teach them something no one else could. Solve problems no one dared to. Stabilize chaos they created. And never once ask for credit. He'd become irreplaceable without asking to be recognized. And then he'd leave, not in anger, not with revenge, just withdrawal. Why? Because nothing shatters a person faster than the sudden absence of what they've grown dependent on. People stay honest only when necessity keeps them grounded. Give them ease, and they betray you the moment it's convenient. So, Machiavelli would become your necessity, the invisible scaffolding you leaned on without knowing. And when he walks away, you don't hate him. You hate how much you needed him. That's how you become unforgettable, not by being present, by becoming a void they can't fill. Rule 11. Weaponize the favor. Most people help to be liked. Machiavelli would help to create imbalance. If he gave you something, he wouldn't demand anything in return. He'd let the silence collect interest. No threats, no reminders, just a presence that makes you feel small. The imbalance grows. You start offering loyalty, secrets, favors, without being asked. And if you ever forget, just one phrase, remember when I, said softly, said once, and suddenly you remember, he owns a piece of your pride, because favors, when left unpaid, become psychological chains. The longer they stay unacknowledged, the heavier they feel. Rule 12. Manufacture loyalty by letting them betray others for you. Loyalty doesn't come from kindness. It comes from complicity. Machiavelli wouldn't demand loyalty. He'd let them give it away, one betrayal at a time. Let them share a secret they shouldn't. Let them speak ill of a friend to win your approval. Let them twist a rule just once in your favor. You didn't ask. You didn't push. You just left the door open, and they walked through it. Now they're bound, not by admiration, but by guilt. People protect what they've compromised for. The more they invest in you, the harder it is to walk away. That's how Machiavelli would create alliances, not through charisma, but through entanglement. Rule 13. Break alliances from the inside. Machiavelli didn't just defeat people. He dissolved entire networks. Not by attack, by erosion. He wouldn't confront the group. He'd infiltrate it. He'd find the strongest bond in the circle and infect it with doubt. Did you hear what she said about you? I'm not saying it's true. Just watch how they act next time. That's all it takes. You don't destroy trust. You let it rot. Because when trust decays from the inside, the structure collapses without a single blow. He who causes another to become powerful ruins himself. So Machiavelli would whisper, not loudly enough to accuse, just softly enough to shift the soil. Let them destroy themselves. You just set the tremor and watch the foundation crack. Rule 14. Never be the one holding the knife. Betrayals, removals, ruthless decisions. Machiavelli had one golden rule: never be seen with blood on your hands. He'd orchestrate outcomes. He'd suggest the solution. He'd plant the idea. But when the blow fell, someone else would swing it. You'd think they turned on you, that they were the problem all along, because Machiavelli never pointed the finger. He just made sure it got pointed. If someone needed to be removed, he'd let them implode. Give them just enough rope to hang themselves, a whisper here, a nudge there, and their ego would do the rest. That's how he stayed clean while his enemies buried themselves. Rule 15. Say nothing, and let them reveal everything. In any room, the most powerful voice is silence. Machiavelli would walk into our noisy age of podcasts, rants, and digital self-disclosures, and win by being the only one who doesn't broadcast. He wouldn't fill silence. He'd weaponize it. Someone insults him, he stares, says nothing. Someone asks his opinion, he smiles, lets them keep talking. Someone tries to provoke him emotionally. He blinks, unbothered, unmoved, and here's the genius. Silence makes them uncomfortable. So they keep talking, and the more they talk, the more they reveal fears, motives, weaknesses. You don't need to interrogate people. You just give them empty space, and they'll confess just to fill it. Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. And silence is deception's most elegant form. Rule 16. Be unpredictable, but only when it matters. Machiavelli would never be erratic. But he'd be unreliable in critical moments. Why? Because predictability invites manipulation. If they always know how you'll respond, they can control the tempo. If they always know you'll stay calm, they'll provoke you in public. If they always know you'll forgive, they'll exploit your peace. So sometimes you forgive, sometimes you vanish, sometimes you speak with fire, sometimes you drown them in silence, not because you're unstable, but because you must never be a formula. Men are driven by two principal impulses, love and fear. But fear is born from uncertainty, and the man they can't predict is the man they can't prepare for. Rule 17. Make your presence felt, even in absence. True psychological dominance doesn't come from constant presence. It comes from psychological residue. Machiavelli wouldn't just lead the room he'd haunted after he left. He'd become the reference point, the measuring stick, the standard. They'd hear his voice in their head long after he stopped speaking. They'd second, guess their victories because of what he would have done. They'd hesitate in confidence because they remembered his precision. They'd distrust others because they once knew what true discernment felt like. This is not branding. This is energy imprinting. He'd behave with such precision, such restraint, such tactical clarity. That when he left, his ghost stayed. He wouldn't need to fire anyone. He'd make them live by his rules. Even in his absence, Rule 18, never threaten, let fear do the work. Machiavelli didn't believe in threats. He believed in implied consequences. Why? Because threats create resistance, but imagination creates obedience. Today, it looks like this: they lie. You pause, no reaction, just stillness, and suddenly they panic. You make one phone call, say nothing, and their world spirals. You disappear quietly, and they lose sleep wondering what you're doing. Because fear built on imagination is more powerful than fear built on information. When people fear what you might do, they start serving you just to prevent finding out. Rule 19, delay your revenge until it's devastating. Machiavelli didn't believe in instant retaliation. He believed in long-game devastation. Injuries should be inflicted all at once, so that their taste is less intense, but benefits should be given little by little, so when wronged, he wouldn't explode. He'd observe, he'd wait, he'd let them relax, let them celebrate, let them think they got away with it, and then, months later, years even, he'd strike, clean, final, without warning, because revenge isn't just about making them pay. It's about reclaiming control of the narrative. Immediate reaction equals they set the tempo. Delayed destruction equals you control their fear every single day. And that fear, it's louder than any outburst. Rule 20. Become a system, not a man. Machiavelli never cared to be liked. He cared to be necessary, not a personality, a framework. He would embed his influence so deeply into the habits, decisions, and infrastructure around him that removing him would mean breaking everything else. He wouldn't be seen as a man with ideas. He'd become the structure that made those ideas possible. A system is emotionless. It doesn't need approval. It outlives charisma. It survives time. You can resist a man, but you can't resist the system you depend on. Rule 21. Make them afraid to speak your name. The final form of power isn't recognition, it's haunting. Machiavelli wouldn't be trending, he'd be hiding. Shaping, operating behind titles, behind institutions, behind smiles. He'd be referenced indirectly. You know who I mean. Don't end up like him. They wouldn't say your name because naming you feels like invoking something bigger than they can handle. You don't trend, you linger. You don't win arguments. You change the atmosphere. You become the silence that shifts the room, the presence that alters behavior, the memory that makes people pause before acting. If Machiavelli were alive today, he wouldn't be shouting for attention. He'd be designing the very systems others fight to survive in, quiet, strategic, untouchable. The voice in your head would be his. Don't respond, don't reveal. Let them speak first, and above all, don't chase respect. Position yourself so they can't breathe without it. That's how you win. Not with fame, not with noise, but with a legacy they cannot erase.